start by inviting you to a small visualization of the proposition's perspective and point of view. The world, the salary cap is officially imposed. Staff and players find themselves with lower salaries and income and revenue, interpreting it as a sign that they are not good enough, not doing enough. Demotivation takes place and reigns in the sports world. Demotivation, spreading low competition and drive, making the concerned persons like the staffs, doctors, and players of the team leave and find work somewhere else, or not find work, where they will not be devalorized for their hard labor and work. For the case split, me, as the first speaker of Team Morocco opposition, will start by giving some rebuttals on the proposition's points, and then give my first argument, which is that federations of teams are private, and therefore they should not be imposed with a salary cut. They should have the financial freedom that they deserve. My second argument is that those salary caps destroy performance, and I will give the mechanics behind this argument later on in my speech. And the third and final point that I'm going to be addressing today is that the salary caps fuels corruption and black markets. So, first of all, with the rebuttals, the proposition said that that this will create tensions between the players. This will avoid the tensions between players by putting salary caps. But that does more harm than good. They may end tensions between the players, but that will create tensions between the club and all the players and staff, making them leave and find work somewhere else, like I said. The second rebuttal is that she said, yes?
How does not having tensions between players correlate to people leaving the club because of tensions in the club?
Because when the club doesn't pay the players the expected salary they deserve, they will leave the club because of demotivation, and they will go find work somewhere else where they will be valorized for their hard labor and work they put on the pitch or on their work generally. Secondly, they said athletes. We're not talking about athletes, not professional sports in general. This neglects coaches, doctors, chiropractors, or even therapists in the team. Thirdly, most salary yes?
You already mentioned athletes. Also, we stated that teams based on sport will have the same amount of pay, so they can't go anywhere else. The pay will be the same.
No, because when you mentioned athletes, we also mentioned athletes, staff, all the workers and employees working and putting labor, doing labor on the team. But you just mentioned athletes. You're neglecting all the coaches, staff, and all the other staff. So we just wanted to make this judgment and make it clear. Thirdly, most salary caps imposed by clubs and federations are not just tiny ones. We shouldn't even call it cuts. We should call it adjustments. Most salary caps are 50 to 75% cuts of the salary, which is a very big adjustment, as you can see. And fourth, finally, yes.
When a player gets 50 million salary a year, 50% doesn't make that big a difference in his life.
0.1% of players make that kind of money, like Cristiano Ronaldo, and he doesn't even make 50 million. He makes around 5 million a year. So even 75% is a very big adjustment for him. Finally, fans that usually come to watch the competition will not come anymore due to the demotivation of the players they see and admire on the pitch, and admire because of their salary cuts. And I will be highlighting it later on in my speech. Firstly, restricting professional sports with a salary cap on their spendings imposes a nonsense forced interventions on those private federations and societies. Those private federations, according to the law, should be able to have financial freedom, and no one has the power nor the ability to impose such a law. The impact, you might ask, by putting a cap on it, yes?
The teams do belong to the governing body and need to follow their rules. So, and they already have some limits, like in racing sports, how much they can spend on the car.
and also it's relevant to the debate. The impact that has of this argument is that by putting a cap on the salaries of the players, staff, and all of the players working for this federation and organization, those individuals are devalorized for their labor and encouraging them to find work somewhere else or not find work. Like players, where will they go? Doctors can go to hospitals or create their own cabinets, and also accountants, for example, can go join big companies or firms where they will work and be valorized for their work. In summary, low salaries equals low motivation, and all that equals to the departure of staff and players, leaving the owner alone. Putting a cap destroys. Secondly, putting a cap on those professional sports destroys performance. Now, let me explain. Players, for example, put their heart, soul, and health on the pitch or on the track, for example. Having a salary cap, it just strips away the only reward and compensation the employees have and deserve. Thirdly, the salary caps fuels corruption and black markets. Okay, now these will lead to athletes and staff to make ends meet through other unethical alternatives, like for example bribery.
What?
No.
Oh, okay.
The mechanism behind this is that smaller incomes lead to vulnerability to bribery, and that all will finally lead to agents and sponsors that gain excessive control over the players' decisions, making the game unentertaining and dull, as I said, without crazy, unexpected events in the sport. The impacts, you might ask, corruption scandals rise drastically. Public trust in most professional sports collapses, and finally reputation on the entire sport suffers. So in conclusion, we have to stop looking at salary cap as this good, good positive change, but it is actually disguised as a negative change and adjustment that will cut salaries by a big part and leaving the owner alone. Thank you.